Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we gather to witness not just a game, but a spectacle. This isn't merely about two teams clashing on the court. It's about history, tradition, and the human spirit. It's the thrill of the chase, the agony of defeat, and the sweet taste of victory. It's the moments that define careers and the plays that live forever in the annals of sport. We remember the legends, those who have walked this path before and left an indelible mark. For the roaring crowds to the silent anticipation before a pivotal play. Every second tonight adds a new chapter to an ongoing epic. Tonight, we celebrate more than athletic prowess. We celebrate resilience, dedication, and undying love for the game. So as the lights shine bright and the roar of the crowd echoes, remember, this is more than a game. This is where dreams are made and legends are born. So welcome back to ATC, and the whole purpose of this video is I just want to go down memory lane, but it's memory lane with a twist. It is in an alternate universe or big hypothetical that has been debated for nearly over 30 plus years now. And who would win between the Bulls and Rockets if they had met in the 1994 finals? Now, as you watch this video, again, none of this stuff happened, but I'm just putting hypotheticals together, and I'm going to state some facts, and then I'm going to sprinkle with some opinions, and by the end of the video you can come up with your own judgment and your own assessment on who would actually win. I'm your host, Bitter Aquarian. We're going to go ahead and go down the court side, and we're going to get the starting lineups for both teams in the 1994 NBA Finals. So first off, let's talk about the 1994 Houston Rockets. They're led by the legendary Hakeem Olajuwon. And I'll be honest that nobody really expected this team to really compete at the level that it competed with. And Hakeem had a phenomenal year. He was named the league MVP. He was the defensive player of the year. And y'all can look at this slide and look at these accolades that this man had garnered throughout this year. And, he averaged 27.3 points, 11.9 rebounds, and 3.7 blocks per game. This is not every couple games, but this is every single night that he went out. And as we all know, it's 82 games in the regular season, not to mention you have 3 grueling rounds of the playoffs, high intensity basketball at its finest. Not only that, he had a great team to really complement him. And he was really the only perennial superstar on that team. And I'm not talking about the 95 team in which Clyde came later on, but this is just a lone superstar, a lone big man. This is when Giants roamed the court. This is way back in the day before the game went to, I think the game's gone to trash with allowing bigs to shoot and not having any defensive prowess or any type of emphasis on defense now. But you have guys like Vernon Maxwell, who gave Michael Jordan fits. I call him John Starks of the Western Conference because he was the type of scrappy guy, streaky but scrappy and not scared of anybody, and was a whole junkyard dog and had game to back it up. You also got my man, aka Big Shot Bob, that's Robert Horry, and then the Jet. And they finished the season with a 58-24 record, and they actually got the second seed in the West. All right, so let's talk about the Bulls. Now, again, this is an alternate universe. This is just a hypothetical because this has been debated for ages. And this video is going to hopefully settle or prolong the fun conversation. So we have the 93 Bulls, and the reason why I say the 93 Bulls is because everybody and their mama know that Jordan retired and at the end of the 93 season and did not play with the Bulls until he came back in the middle of the 1995 season. So we're going to take Michael Jordan, his apex in his prime, and we're going to pit him against the 94 Rockets. So at this particular time, the 93 Bulls, they have a 57-25 record. They get the second seed in the East. In this alternate universe, they still meet the Knicks they actually meet the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, where we all know what happened. Charles Smith actually did get fouled, but we're not going to talk about that. Well, maybe I'll do a video about that next time, or on my channel, depending on how many views I get on this particular topic. But they finished second seed in the East. They go through the playoffs pretty unscathed, but then they have a little bit of difficulty with the opposition in New York, but they have managed to escape and beat the Knicks in 6 games. So now let's look at what Jordan and Pippen average. So Jordan averages over 30 points a game, 32.6 to be exact, 6.7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, while Pippen contributes 18.6 points, 7.7 rebounds, and over 6 assists per game. That is a dynamic duo. So if you're doing the math, that's 2 perennial all-stars, 2 mega stars versus a single all-star, perennial all-star, and a single big man or a single star on a team. Now, you also have a supporting cast in Horace Grant, which sort of gives them I would call a pseudo big three. At that time, Horace was a great supporting player. He wasn't the Orlando Magic Horace, as he kind of stepped out in the forefront when he went to Orlando. But then you got BJ Armstrong, and now in this alternate universe, Kukoc is not on this team. He's not. Remember, Kukoc came in 94. So Tony, sorry man, you're not in this particular video because Jordan's still playing. There's no Pete Myers. There's none of those other guys. It's just the regular starting 5. And then you have the Zen Master. You got Phil Jackson versus Rudy Tomjanovich. Excuse me, man, my tongue getting so tired because every time I try to say that guy's name. But those are the combatants, and that's what you have. And we're going to proceed, and we're going to see who would actually win this series. Now let's talk about breaking down some of the key matchups. We're gonna start off with Hakeem Olajuwon versus the Bulls defense. Phil Jackson's strategy will most likely revolve around using a big body, as in Bill Cartwright, and also Horace Grant to try to contain Olajuwon. But I believe that his skill set is just unmatched. I don't think there's any center that's parallel to him. Maybe Kareem, but it's going to present a formidable challenge. And I'm going to give the edge to Hakeem because he is definitely going to get a double-double. He's definitely going to be close to at least 25 or more points per game if they had played in the finals. And you're going to pose a matchup threat because more than likely somebody's going to foul out because he's got that dream shake. He's got that footwork. He's just a complete package in terms of a big man. He can give you strength. He can give you size. He can give you finesse, or he can give you aggression. And it's just so graceful to watch him play. So I think that the edge will go to Hakeem as it relates to that matchup. All right, next in terms of the matchups, it's going to be Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen versus the entire Houston defense. The Rockets going to easily rely on Vernon Maxwell, Robert Horry, and Mario Elie to slow them down. And obviously, you're not going to slow Money down. That's AKA Michael Jordan. That's AKA the Black Cat. You're not going to slow him down. One thing for certain is Jordan is going to get his points. Pippen is also a very important player because if he averages at least 18 and then Mike averages his 30 plus, that usually spells victory for the Bulls. However, this is the Houston defense. This is not an aging Lakers team. This is not the Trailblazers. This would be an actual Houston team that, ironically, to be honest, and you guys are not going to like what I have to say about it, they dominated, or they gave Jordan a ton of issues, and they actually beat Jordan head to head. One of the very few ball clubs to beat him head to head. And he's very fortunate they didn't meet in the finals, but in this alternate universe they have, and he would face his greatest challenge in this particular NBA finals. So now let's talk about the role players for just a few moments. And I want to talk about Houston first and then talk about Chicago's role players. And you got Sam Cassell, you got Mario Elie, you got Carl Herrera, you got Scott Brooks or Earl Cureton, you got Matt Bullard and Chris Gent. Now, the latter part of that bench, they're not really going to do much of anything, but the bulk of a lot of second chance shots, offensive rebounds, transition buckets, that came from just them being able to run the floor. And that's Cassell being a true number one, a point guard. You got Mario Ellie, who's just a scrappy shooting guard who always seemed to knock down a lot of big shots. Carl Herrera was a pretty good guy as well. And then we're going to talk about the Chicago bench, which is, to be honest, not remarkable at all. You got Bobby Hansen, you got Stacey King, Will Perdue, you got Cliff Levingston, Scott Williams, and Craig Hodges. Craig Hodges and Cliff Levingston, more than likely, they are going to be pretty consistent off the bench. Everybody else, if they have a great night, then perhaps they could swing the tide or swing the balance, because a lot of games are won on the free throw line. A lot of games are won with second chance opportunities because of offensive rebounds. But I'm going to give the edge to the Houston bench, because those three players in Cassell, Mario Ellie, and Carl Herrera, I think they provide a better matchup in terms of going against the Bulls. So let's talk about the actual series itself. And I think there's no debate. Everyone believes, or the consensus is that this would be a 7-game series. Now let's look at the actual records. The 93 Bulls, they finished the regular season out at a 57-25 mark. The 94 Houston Rockets finished their season at 58-24. So that's how great both teams were. Within one game now causes Houston to have 4 games at the Summit versus 3 games in Chicago. And I think one game will make the difference, because you have to look at it from this standpoint, that it's very difficult and tough to play at Chicago Stadium. And it's also difficult to play in the Summit because the Houstonians, they really rally around their team. And so you have the 3-2-3, or excuse me, the 2-3-2 format. And what I mean by that is the first 2 games are going to be at the higher seed. So you have games 1 and 2 in Houston, games 3 through 5 are going to be in Chicago, and then games 6 and 7 will actually end up in Houston. Okay, so again, alternate universe, I'm going to go through what I believe what would have taken place if this Dreams final matchup would have taken place. So game 1 obviously is going to be in Houston, again based off the 2-3-2 format. Hakeem has a commanding performance. The Rockets take the game 102-90. And game 2 is going to be slightly different, because you have the Bulls, you have Jordan and Pippen. They come out of the gate, they come out hot, and because they come out hot or come in hot, they actually end up splitting the series, because you only need to steal a game. So you now have a series that's tied with 1 game apiece. So as I stated prior, very difficult to play in Chicago, very difficult. So now you have game 3 in Chicago. The crowd is energized, very hyped up. This is familiar territory to the 2-time defending champions, or excuse me, the 3-time defending champion Chicago Bulls. And so they play game 3, and the Bulls actually end up winning, and they win in double digits. It's not a blowout, but they do win by 11 points. Again, this is the alternate universe. This didn't happen, but I'm just saying what would have occurred. So now you have the Bulls up 2-1, which everyone is definitely probably surprised by. However, what occurs and happens is now Olajuwon bounces back in game 4, and now you literally have a series that's tied at 2 games apiece. It can go from anywhere at that point. So then you have game 5 with the Rockets and the Bulls playing in Chicago Stadium, and the Bulls actually end up winning that game, putting an immense amount of pressure on the Rockets, because now the Rockets are down 3-2. In Chicago, all they have to do is go back to Houston in game 6 and win it. And everybody knows that Chicago has never gone 7 games in an NBA Finals series, but in this particular case, now they're up 3-2. So back in Houston, it is a nail biter, it's a thriller, but Olajuwon outshines even, yes, Michael Jordan, and the Rockets actually end up winning the game, and they stave off elimination. So now you have a all tied up series. You have a game 7. You have an epic battle in game 7. And I'd like to know, what will be your thoughts on who would win game 7? I set it up or painted the picture partially to where you have a tied series in the finals, and then it just comes down to mano a mano, superstar versus superstar, bench player versus bench player, coach versus coach, strategy versus strategy. Who wins this series? Because if you look at the thumbnail, that's what I put on there. Who would win this series? And please be realistic. Let me know what y'all thoughts are. Let's engage in the comments on who you thought would have won, the 94 Rockets or the 93 Bulls. Both teams are unforgettable. Both teams are definitely in the upper echelon of greatest of all time teams, in my opinion. This is Bearded Aquarium for all things considered, and you can click on some of my other work and let me know how I did. And I appreciate you for checking this video out. Thanks.